I watched your videos, and I mean, you got to admit you were at least, surprised at how much the statics, or whatever you want to call it, the electric for. I'm just going to call it electric for simplicity's sake. But you said you were surprised about the how much it did play a part in it, and all and everything you had to go through to. You even had to tear the thing down and redo it with at one point because of electrostatics.
I'm not surprised about electrostatics at all, Brian. That's what I was looking for.
No. Yeah. You were surprised on the. I mean, this is your words. Yeah, you were surprised on how much they played a role in it. On how.
No, you're just trying
to that extent.
Put words in my mouth. That's all.
Well, you're right here, so I'm really not trying to put words in your mouth.
That was an adventure. It was something I really wasn't counting on having to do. I never really thought it was going to be an issue, but it turned out to be one. And I think what happened is over time, the tongue oil finish dried out. The surface resistance of that stuff became pretty high. And inadvertently, I don't have it sitting on wooden posts that are in the ground. I've got it sitting on a wooden table, which has leveling feet under it, which have felt pads on the bottom of them. So not even thinking about it, I made a really perfect insulation system, and that wooden cabinet was actually developing a surface charge. And at one point, I could absolutely prove that mass repels mass.
Well, you don't say. Machines. They did telegraphs current, that go and predict up, or at least point out, well, it ain't right. There's no downward.
But it turned out to be one. That was an adventure. It was something I really wasn't counting on having to do. I never really thought it was going to be an issue. But it turned.
So you might even say that you were surprised. You wasn't counting on it being an issue, having to tear the thing down and rebuilding it. Lou, I'm gonna need you to work on your honesty, man, if we're gonna have any conversations in the future. But you probably don't give a shit. You'd probably say, I don't give a shit. You'd rather just, I don't know. Watched your videos, and I mean, you got to admit you were at least, surprised at how much the statics, or whatever you want to call it, the electric for. I'm just going to call it electric for simplicity's sake. But you said you were surprised about the how much it did play a part in it, and everything you had to go through to. You even had to tear the thing down and redo it with at one point because of electrostatics.
I'm not surprised about electrostatics at all, Brian. That's what I was looking for.
No. Yeah. You were surprised on the. I mean, this is your words. Yeah, you were surprised on how much they played a role in it. On how.
No, you're just trying
to that extent.
Put words in my mouth. That's all.
Well, you're right here, so I'm really not trying to put words in your mouth. I mean.
No, you're just trying
to that extent.
Put words in my mouth. That's all.
Well, you're right here, so I'm really not trying to put words in your mouth. I mean, I want to know, what were you surprised about? Why did you tear the thing back down? Because if I do make it, I don't want to make the same damn mistakes. But I did want to point out that you are drawing current from the ground. You might, but if you ground them all together, that could be canceling most of it out.
You're not drawing current from the ground, Brian. Draining static charge off to the ground is what you're doing.
Okay, do you want me to show you again? Do you want me to
well, if you ever get it to the point where around zero, then you can let it sit there, but right now it's not. Right now, letting it sit won't do anything. The balls will just go. They'll go up against the case and just sit. So you got to get it more or less centered, and then let it settle down, and then you can tweak it and get it and dial it in to get it exactly in the center. But it's a tedious process. Just all I can tell you is you just don't worry about getting in a hurry. There's no point in it.
Yeah, well, Cavendish knew kind of what he was doing.
Oh my God, think about it. And I've said this. I can't believe how many times in the last 6 weeks I could easily have fooled myself into believing that I had the correct answer when I was looking at something like 5.8.
So, correct answer. I thought this was an experiment. Okay. So all they're doing is replicating Cavendish, and they're all having to jump through their own separate hoops because there's plenty of ways to vary the electrostatics. They just won't acknowledge it. And he starts off this whole Cavendish thing, by talking about Cavendish and how he didn't even consider for electrostatics. That he had his setup mounted to some legs that are going straight into the ground, and it was moist enough around that time. I mean, it's insanity. Is this real science? I mean, this is where the dishonesty starts coming in, because if you're getting involved in deception, you've got to trick yourself, and you start slowing down with what you say, and having to carefully think about it, and then you start having to fib little white lies just to keep up with the bullshit, to it's your own subconscious battling with you, in my opinion. And that's why, everything they're trying to say, it's conflicting with logic in their own head. Okay. Now, if this was real science, wait, hold on.
Number was. And that's what's so incredibly impressive. He was able to sort through his problems just like I'm sorting through mine. It's bound to happen with something like this. But he had the ability to see where the systematic errors could be and take them into account and keep working on it until he got it operating the way it should. And his numbers are just incredible.
What does he mean, operating the way it should? And is this a test or is this an experiment? Operating the way it should. Now, if this was a real test, they'd be varying for everything, okay? So you take your initial setup, let's say you didn't ground it, okay? But every other thing you changed, you control, okay? Then on the next one, you change the wire. So you got to go back through every single thing you've done, but control for control for everything else, but vary the wire, okay? Then if you're going to add foil, okay, to a certain spot, then you got to add foil to a certain spot, control for everything else. That's how you get information, okay? They're not looking for information. They found a apparatus that they got off of Coulomb's law, which they try and say that Newton derived little g, but here they are showing how the gravitational constant was formulated, and it was in, I think, 1798, 10 years after Coulomb. They're in denial. Their brain won't let them see the facts. It's even the same apparatus, and maybe not the identical exact piece of machinery, equipment, but it's the same setup with the arms, and with the horizontal swinging. It's dude, they're just in denial. It's like they need. Here, listen to this. But it's hard to even listen to this. But John Watson sitting here talking about a old school professor of physics, how he's real deep down into finding the causes for everything. But he knows he's dude. It's what he's saying is conflicting with the whole logic of what they're calling this an experiment. So he talks. I mean, I can't fast forward it through this program, or I would, but I'll try and cut it as brief as possible. But listen.
Professor of physics at the Edinburgh University, and he's one of these old school guys, and the precision that he operates under, in terms of whether or not an experiment is actually showing you what you think it's showing, or whether it's not.
He's like his brain's in slow motion because his brain is fighting logic, and deep down in there is a logical man. He's an intelligent man, He's just so indoctrinated. He can't think outside the box. Everything he's saying, whether I'm right or wrong about this setup, okay? It's not science. They're not conducting science as far as experimentation. I mean, you got to at least be honest with that. If you're my opposition, they have a number they're trying to hit, and they go through leaps and bounds like chasing a ghost to achieve this certain oscillation. It's a joke. If on the outside, just right from the onset, it's a freaking joke, in my opinion.